Welcome to our Mary Greeley Primetime Alive presentation on general safety and scam prevention tips. I am Vicki Newell with the Primetime Alive program here at Mary Greeley Medical Center. As a reminder, if you'd like more information about Primetime Alive or would like to sign up for a program, please go to mgmc.org/PTA. All right, our presenter today, his introduction is short and sweet, but I think he will give you a little additional information. Our presenter today is Kurt Kruger, and he is the Community Resource Officer for the Ames Police Department. So please welcome Community Resource Officer Kruger.
Thank you for having me out here today. Like she said, I'm Kurt Kruger with the Ames Police Department. I've been a police officer here at the city of Ames for about 12 and a half years now. I'm from Northeast Iowa, a tiny little town called Riceville. Growing up, I never wanted to be a police officer my entire life, never thought I'd want to be one. Got done with college. All my college degrees, background, volunteer work my whole life, all involved natural resources, conservation management. I wanted to be a conservation officer, but when I got out of college, they weren't hiring at the time. So ironically, my wife, girlfriend at the time, said, hey, Ames PD is hiring. Put my name in the hat to come do the testing and the requirements to get hired. By golly, they actually hired me out of 300 people for some reason. I showed up, thought, I had only been to Ames one time in my life before that. Never thought I would stay. Not a big city guy, didn't really know. Fell in love with the community. Fell in love with the Ames Police Department, everything about it. Built a house, have a family. Here I am 12 and a half years later, and hopefully I can retire from here someday if I get to that point. So that's kind of my background of how I got to be here. Started out working night shift for a couple years, then I moved and switched over to our afternoon shift. Did afternoon shift for about 8 years, and then for the last 4 years, I've been in the Community Resource Officer position, which entails a lot of my work that I do on a daily basis. I work with property managers within our community, kind of let them know what's going on at their buildings, which tenants are getting along. And I also deal with a lot of neighborhood complaints. I'm kind of that quality of life issue guy. So if you kind of want a police officer, but there's not a crime involved, I'm that middle guy, that liaison person that kind of tries to go out and help. I run a lot of our social media stuff you see online that comes from me. If we do outreach events, I set those up or run those, and I do a lot of presentations and different talks like this with all sorts of different community entities that we have. So that's kind of my background. That's where I come from. This is what I do. So today we're going to talk about just some general safety and scam prevention tips. Holiday season's coming up, so you're going to start to see a lot of influx on emails, phone calls, text messages. I'm going to forewarn you today, I'm not going to be able to tell you how to stop all those extra random phone calls that you get nonstop on a daily basis. I don't think there's a way to possibly do that. There's the do not call me list, don't work. So if you're coming here for that, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to give you the answer to that. So we'll just dive in here. Very basic stuff. So scam red flags. Pretty much every type of scam has three things in common. Rule number one, always in any kind of scam, is someone is going to contact you. So always remember that. They initiate the contact. Whether you get a random phone call, you get a random email, you get a letter in the mail, that's step number one. Somebody contacts you. The second part of pretty much every scam is that, so scammers, they feed off emotions, right? So you always hear the stories of somebody getting scammed and they send a random person thousands of dollars and you laugh and think, how could that happen to you? It only takes one phone call. The same person might call you 100 times in a year, but on the 101st time when they call you, you're having a bad day, you're feeling kind of lonely, they get you off guard. So that's number two with the red flags of scams. One, they initiate the contact. Two, they're going to make you feel panicked, alarmed, scared. So like I said, they feed off that emotion. We're all human, so we want to help, or we feel like if we're in trouble, we need to do something. And the third way, very common in every scam you're going to see, they want you to pay in a very unusual method. The biggest one is they want you to pay them in gift cards. We take reports from people on a regular basis where they get a phone call, they fall for a scam, they drive around, they'll go to both Walmarts, go to even Target as well. They're on the phone for a couple hours while they're going to the stores and they're buying gift cards in the store for thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars, whatever it is. If you're not familiar with how a gift card works, once you buy a gift card, you put the money on it and you scratch the number off the back and you read that number to somebody. It's no different than if I hand you a $100 bill. Because as soon as they have those numbers, they probably go online and they'll buy another gift card or they'll buy merchandise to something else, and you can't really track it at that point. All you could see when you look up your gift card transaction is it would say $1,000 gift card was bought at Ames Walmart, and then that $100 gift card was bought or spent online at something. That's the only thing you would see because that's all you would have the rights to. So again, it's no different than handing somebody cash if you have a gift card. And that's what they do. They get you on the phone and people fall for it. They scratch off the numbers off the back. And all I have to do is write those numbers down. And they can even have somebody doing it. Or as soon as they hang up, I can go right online and within minutes buy a whole nother gift card to a different store. Or I could buy myself another Walmart gift card and it'd be gone in seconds. So it's literally no different than handing somebody cash when it comes to gift cards. So I'm going to say it a whole bunch of times while I'm here because we can't iterate enough because we deal these on a daily basis of people falling for these, which is very unfortunate. Someone's going to contact you always. They're going to make you feel alarmed, panicked, scared, something that they feed on emotions, and they want you to pay in a very odd manner. So I kind of said gift card, green dot cards work kind of the same way, as well as money orders. They're not as big doing money orders anymore as they used to, like the Western Union, those types of things. They usually like to go to the gift cards because that's a little quicker. Because if you do the money transfers, then they have usually a lot of times they might have a middle person that might be, you're sending money to John Smith in South Carolina. Well, then they have a John Smith show up in the store, they get the transaction, and then a lot of times they're sending the money on. And a lot of times that middle person is in a scam themselves where people find jobs online where they think that they're like a payee or a payroll person where they pick up these wire transfers all over the place. They keep like 10% and they send the rest of the money on. A lot of time we've had quite a few of those within our community as well where, as it turns out, they've fallen for a scam themselves, even though they've been doing it for years, but they're just kind of an easy middleman for the actual scammer in the end. So if you scam somebody for $1,000, you get a middle person in there, they get to keep $100, the scammer gets $900, and it's not going to be able to track them down very easily. So again, they initiate the contact, they're going to make you feel alarmed or panicked. We've all heard the ones of you have an arrest warrant or the IRS is calling you and there's going to be a warrant for your arrest if you don't pay X amount of dollars on the spot. So we'll kind of go through and talk about a few different ones. Like I just said, one of the main common ones that we see on a regular basis are calls about arrest warrants. Someone calls, says, hey, this is so-and-so with the FBI or the Ames Police Department. You have an arrest warrant there's an arrest warrant out for your arrest. We're going to come pick you up, take you to jail, unless you pay $500. And ironically, it doesn't click with a lot of people, but a lot of times people will say, I don't have $500. I only have $300. And they'll say, okay, you give me $300 and we will cancel the warrant or your tax debt, whatever the case is. Happens all the time. People will tell them they don't have enough money that they're asking for, but they'll take whatever they can get. Again, that should be a red flag that, oh, they're going to arrest me. I need $1,000, but they're going to settle my debt for $50. Again, they'll take whatever they can get. But again, that's because somebody contacted them. And again, you're feeling panicked. You're like, oh man, I don't want to go to jail. Again, it seems foolish. They can call you every time. Just one day you're feeling lonely, bad day, rainy day, and they just get you. And a lot of times it doesn't click with people in their head till, an hour or so after they get off the phone and now they're kind of relaxed, back on a normal feeling. And they're like, oh shoot, I don't think that was a scam. So big ones that we do see from time to time. Hotel check-ins is one, seems kind of fishy. We've had a few here in Ames as well, where if say you check into a hotel and then you'll get into your room, so you're just barely been there for a few minutes, you get checked in, you're putting your bags down, you kind of relax, you're like, yes, you're looking out the windows, checking the thermometer, and your phone will ring in your bedroom. You pick it up and they'll say, hey, this is John down at the front desk. Your credit card didn't go through. We'll just save you the trip. You don't have to come back down. Can you just tell me what your credit card number was again? And so you're like, oh, okay, that's great. I don't want to walk back down because I just got here on vacation. Boom, you give them their credit card number and they've got you. So that's one, too, that they're kind of tapped into. Dating online websites. These are very common. And unfortunately, I think these kind of go, especially with the emotions, where I see a lot of cases where people will meet somebody online. They'll talk to them for years. You send pictures. You tell them all sorts of intimate details. So yeah, there's a real person there that you're having a conversation with. But over the years or over the time, something comes up in that person's life. The car breaks down or they can't pay rent for something. And you want to help them because you've got to know them and you're talking to them on a regular basis. It's kind of like a pen pal. And you're sending them money. But you've just never met this person in real life. And again, so you see a lot of those. There was even an officer years ago that had a case where a lady had been dating somebody online, and he supposedly lived on the East Coast, had sent money over the years, and the officer had said that she decided they were gonna move in together. So she packs up all of her stuff out west, starts driving across the country, comes through the town, and ironically, somewhere in the middle of that, the boyfriend guy had sent a message and said that he had been kidnapped or something like that and needed a whole bunch of money right now. And so she was here in town, panicked, because she wants to help her boyfriend that she's been talking to online for years. Starts telling the officer what's going on. The officer's like, wow, this is fishy. And brought it up the same deal of saying, hey, have you ever actually met this person? No, I have never met him. I just have talked to him for years online. We're moving in together. Here's the address we're moving into. The officer said that they looked at the address, pulled it up on the computer. She haven't even looked, but it was in the middle of some giant like warehouse district that you would see like in the movies. It's like abandoned downtown Detroit or something. So she had not even looked. Until that point, it didn't dawn on her that over the years she'd been sending her boyfriend money, and it was a scam. And like I said, it just got to the point where she had packed up to move in. That's a very common one, and lots of people, we talk to them because family members or friends kind of catch on to what's going on, and we try and talk to them. And some people are kind of okay with it, even if they know they're being scammed, just because they're lonely, their loved one's deceased now, but they like that interaction because they are sending messages back and forth, and they don't necessarily care if they're sending a little bit of money here and there. So that's a lot of times that we'll see those with them. A very other common one, I got this one not too long ago. You get the phone call and they'll say, hey, grandpa, grandma, how are you doing today? This is Johnny. I was involved in a bad car accident and I'm in jail. I need X amount of dollars, the attorney said. Otherwise, I'm going to be locked up for 5 years because I hurt somebody in a car accident. Again, all the same principles from the beginning. Somebody contacts you. Now you hear on the phone and they're panicked and it sounds like a grandson or a grandchild. So that's going to hit your heart. You want to help your family. Now you're nervous. They're getting you on there and you listen to the story. A lot of times you might even say, it doesn't sound like you, and they'll say, hey, I'm all worked up. I'm in jail. I'm talking to the police. I was in an accident, so I don't feel good. And so again, then they'll end up getting them to send them money one way or another. But again, somebody has to contact you. They're asking for money. It's usually the gift cards. It's usually the number one way that they do it. Another really common one, you get an email, you get a letter, you get a call. Hey, this is so-and-so with Microsoft. Your computer is having issues lately. Would you like us to remote access to your computer and I can fix your computer? Or, hey, I can make your computer go 10 times faster. Your computer's really slow. So you give them all your information so that they can take control of your computer. And what a lot of times what they'll do with those is they can implant like spyware, different viruses. They can follow all of your keystrokes. So then you might pay somebody, only $100 or $2 or $200, something minimal, but then they have full access to your computer, so they can just sit there and watch. And the next time you go into any kind of personal banking, and as you're stroking in on your passwords, they have software in there that can log every button that you push. So it'd be no different than they sat there just watching you click it. So then they have all full access to your user login and all your account numbers, and they can get into your bank and swipe out all your money or do whatever they need, or whatever else personal information that you have on your computer. They can do that just as well. Another really big ones is, especially this time of year with open enrollment, stuff going on with insurance, Medicaid and different insurance things. You get phone calls about something with your Medicare or your insurance, and they want you to provide information to verify who you are. They'll call you and say, hey, this is so-and-so at Blue Cross. Betty, we need you to verify your account number, your social stuff for your insurance card. And again, that should be a red flag, because how many times do you ever try to call to get information about your own account and they ask you a billion questions and they don't ever want to just tell you your stuff, but yet somebody randomly calls you asking you to verify all of your information. Again, that's a very easy one that we see a very, very high numbers of those as well as people falling for it. And again, they're trying to get your personal information, maybe in those ones, and they'll do whatever they want to do, open credit cards or whatever the case they are planning to do with your information. So those are some of the main common ones that we do see. Again, there's tons of them out there, but they're all the same way, no matter what it is. Someone's going to contact you. They're going to make you feel alarmed or panicked, especially with emails. We see a lot of businesses even that will fall for it, because people will try to mirror an email address, and it'll be very close except for like one letter. And you can go online and you could see a letterhead from Iowa State. I could very easily copy that and send it over and use all that. But my email address might be like one letter, one number off. But if you're getting an email and it looks legit and you're seeing a new headline or a cover letter, everything looks the same as what you've seen every day, you're never going to necessarily look at that email address. But it's something that's very common when you do see on paper scam attempts. It's very common that the grammar is terrible. I have horrible grammar, but it's very easy for you to pick out. It's a lot of times they write it as if English is not their first language, so it's not as common as what you would see. Skipping a lot of punctuation, misspelled words. So again, that's a very good red flag as well if you see something in writing. And the best way to prevent all this stuff, so if someone calls you up and says, whatever the case is, that your grandson is hurt, or that someone's being kidnapped and they need money right now or they're going to be hurt, there's nothing in life that you couldn't take 50 seconds to hang up that phone and call a parent or call your friend, or if it's someone that says it's a family member, call them yourself or call their husband, call their kids, and just say, hey, is Johnny okay? He said he's in the hospital. Well, no, he's right here with me. We're having coffee at Starbucks. Oh, it clicks. Or for any of those other ones as well, as far as like the insurance stuff, Medicaid fraud, computer issues, if you think it's legitimate or you want to have follow-up with them, the best way to do it is say, what is your name? What is your extension? How can I get a hold of you? And you say, okay, I'm going to check into this, and then I'll call you back. Hang up the phone. Then you yourself go look up in a phone book or look online what the actual phone number is for, let's say, Blue Cross Blue Shield. And then you call it and say, hey, I need to get to extension 1234, and I need to talk to John Smith. We don't have extension 1234. We don't have a John Smith. So that would be the best and easiest way to ever check into it. If you're starting to think, wow, this maybe is legit. This sounds like a good deal. I want to get this new piece of insurance equipment or whatever it is that they're trying to sell you. It only takes a couple minutes to hang the phone up. Then you look up how to contact that person. You call the store or the business yourself and ask to talk to that person. And if by golly they're a real person and the extension stuff they gave you, then it's real. But it's very rare that they're going to. I talked about it earlier with trying to get the phone numbers to stop calling. Not really going to happen. There's tons of free applications you could do out there. I could pull up my phone really quick and I could download an app on there, and you could tell me a phone number, what you want me to be. I could type in some numbers and I could call anybody in here to make it look like somebody else's phone number. Tons of apps to do it free. So that's how a lot of times people will fall for it. You see a local number. Oh, it's somebody I probably know. Hang up. Or they'll call and they make it look like the Ames Police Department. Oh, it's the Ames Police Department calling. Again, that's not the case. It's very easy to do with the spoofing of the numbers. I can't iterate enough to people. The best way to do it is to just not answer your phone, honestly, if you don't recognize the number. I feel like it's probably 90% of the time or more when someone is trying to call you and it's not legitimate, they don't leave a voicemail. If it's a family member or a friend and it's legitimate, they'll leave you a voicemail. Now, if some number just keeps calling you over and over and over and over and over and over, like nonstop, and show them on a time, then maybe answer because maybe someone is in a car accident, their phone broke, or someone's trying to get a hold of you. But that's my best advice as far as phone calls go. If you don't recognize the number, and I get tons of calls myself every day. If I don't recognize the number, it's not programmed to my phone, I don't answer it, and I barely have any voicemails throughout the year. Every once in a while, you have one that's like a 2 seconds where it's like, press 1 or something, but they're very far and few between for the amount of random phone calls that I get, for the amount of voicemails I get. So keep that in mind. It's annoying. Yeah, sometimes you want to answer. If you just don't answer, you're not going to set yourself up to ever get caught, and you're not wasting your time listening to the clicking or the beeping or the, hey, this is so-and-so, or hey, you need your car insurances, car warranty's gone bad, whatever the case is. They're all the same mumbo jumbo. So don't answer your phone is the best advice, honestly, I can tell you, if you don't recognize the number, and go from there. All right, we'll talk a little bit about just real basic safety tips, just in general for all criminal activity. There's 3 things that need for it. That's the desire, the skill, and opportunity. So take that for example, car burglaries, right? We get big strings of those every once in a while, and a lot of those, there's no force involved. They're just walking through parking lots because people don't lock their doors. They'll do it in broad daylight. We've had lots of security videos where it's right here, somebody go on the parking lot right now, walk around broad daylight. And if I walked up to a car door and you were standing right next to me, I opened the door, it's unlocked, and I sat in there, you'd have no idea that I was robbing that person. Now, unless you saw me get out and go to the next one, then you know something's weird. But if you just act normal and people don't lock their doors, it's a matter of seconds for people to walk up, unlock a door, and a lot of times they'll just sit down, act like it's their car, sit in the driver's seat, grab something out of it, and then get up and then just walk back in the building. And you would think, oh, that person just forgot something. You wouldn't think twice about it. I could very easily walk up to a car next to you, as long as it wasn't your friend's car, you knew whose car it was, and steal stuff out of that car in broad daylight while you're standing right next to me because you don't know who I am and you don't know what that car is. So again, it's very easy. Always lock your car doors. That's kind of that crime of opportunity. So it's there. It's just a crime of opportunity, and I had the skills where you don't need a lot of skills because most people just don't lock their doors, and that is what involves a lot of our burglaries in this town, whether it's houses, apartments, or cars. Real basic. Stay alert, stay alive. Phrase has been around forever. Situational awareness. In today's society, everybody is always on such a go, go, go pace. Everyone's in a hurry. Everyone's running behind. Nobody cares about anybody else but themselves. We're just trying to go. It's very important that you stay alert, basically to stay alive. So you don't have to walk around like you're some kung fu ninja, like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But just be alert of your surroundings, what's going on around you. I do it all the time just when I'm driving. If I'm driving down the road, driving a highway, wherever the case is, I'm kind of mentally looking around, and I'm always like looking at a ditch, for example. So if I'm just I live out by Gilbert. Every day, even when I drive home the same road every day, I'm looking at the ditches. I'm always mentally thinking, if I blew a tire right now, my car swerved, which side would I try to go to? Which side's going to be the safest? Again, I'm not like freaked out like, oh no, I'm going to die of this. It's a situational awareness. Just be alert. What's going on? If you're going on trips or vacationing, do you ever pay attention to mile markers? If something happened and you crash in the ditch and nobody saw you, your phone doesn't work, how are you going to tell somebody where you're at? I mean, just very basic like that. Just looking around, see what's going on. If you're coming and going, just have a glance of there's people in the parking lot. If you're coming down a hall, is there somebody behind you? Is there somebody not? Again, you don't have to be freaked out, paranoid, thinking the end of the world is coming, but at least have an awareness of what's going on around you. Avoid risky situations. Don't be a hero, be a great witness. So you see stuff on the news or TV, internet all the time of the random person stepping in to help somebody, stop them from getting robbed or beat up or whatever the case is. Those are great. If you think you have the ability that you can do that without hurting yourself, it's better that, let's say, we have one victim versus two. And then if you step in to try to help, now you're a second victim, and then you get hurt to the point where you couldn't provide any information. So that's why we say we'd rather you be a great witness where you stand back, you call the police department or whatever the case is going on right away, take good mental notes of what's going on right there instead of you just trying to jump in to help. I get we're human nature, so sometimes people just want to dive right in, but also we have a lot of people that do a great job of standing back and calling us and taking video or getting as much information as they can about it. And again, it's been around forever. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. So we got that sixth sense you always talk about, the hairs in your back and the neck. That's not to say that every time you get that feeling something's wrong, but more times than not, something's just not right. So listen to your bodies. Again, that goes the same way. Just, don't be a hero, be a great witness. We can't emphasize that enough, and just make sure you know what's going on around you. All right, general safety. Like I said, just got a few notes here. We can talk through a few things. Workplace safety. So anytime you're at work, know where your exits are. Keep your workspace neat area. Keep your wallet and stuff or your purse, in a dresser or a drawer. Don't just keep it on your desk, because if you have random people walking through, they could very easily take that from you. Again, when you're going to and from work, from the parking lot, walking through the halls, just take a peek around you, see who's around you, see who's in the parking lot. You might see somebody you never recognize before, especially if you're at work. You might know all the employees if you're working in a smaller area and you've got somebody kind of milling around the office or outside the building, kind of suspicious. It's good to keep an eye on that. And that goes the same as far as just if you're out in public in general. It's always a good rule of thumb. Always let someone know where you're going. Again, this is old stuff, but it's stuff that we forget to do that can make a major difference in our lives. Don't carry more money than you're willing to lose. That is a great phrase. We get a lot of people that we take reports they lost their wallet or their purse and they've got like a couple $1,000s cash in them. I mean, it blows my mind that you think you take that risk. I think it's a good mentality. It's the same way I think about it if I go to the casino, which I go like once or twice a year. I go there expecting to lose money. So I'm only going to take in enough money that I'm willing to lose. So that's why I don't carry a lot of cash around with me. Same concept in there. Always keep your phone charged. It amazes me in the day and age with phones, technology. Seems like when you need your phone, it's almost dead or it's running low. Make sure your phone's always charged, because you never know when something's going to happen. Whether you need to call police or you get in an accident. Stay in well-lit areas if applicable. So, you're out walking around at nighttime, try and stay where the street lights are or the park lights. Very common basic stuff. Again, always be alert of your surroundings, no matter where you are. I say that a ton of times because that's just the number one thing is a crime will happen and there'll be lots of people around, but nobody saw anything because they're not paying attention to what's going on. We're so focused in today's society of what we're doing, and we're always trying to go and in a hurry that you don't see that someone's getting beat up over here or somebody fell down, had a heart attack right here in the park, and you're only 60 feet away because we're not paying attention. So again, just be alert of your surroundings. Vehicle safety, talked about it a little bit at first. Always lock your doors. Even at home in the garage, lock your doors. I lock my doors are always locked in my driveway or at home. If you're getting in or out of your car somewhere, it's very good to keep an eye out. Again, be aware of what's going on. So before you park your car and you get ready to get out, make sure there's not a couple random people that are walking up towards your car. If they are, just sit there and wait till they go by. Again, you don't have to be paranoid that they're going to try to kidnap you or something. But again, if they were there to try to do something to you, don't give them the opportunity, so you can hang tight a second. Another one, if somebody walks up to you to talk to you in a car, there's a lot of different, we've seen a few times where somebody will distract you here in a town, like you're getting in the car at Walmart, and they'd be like, oh, hey, you hit my car over here. What? And you had just kind of started putting your bags or your purse and your pegs down in the car, and there's somebody else there, and they might make you look over here at a car, or you're standing there, and they've got somebody else that will unlock the door's already unlocked because you unlocked it, and there might be somebody on the passenger side, and they can very easily just open that door, grab your stuff, and take off running, and it's an easy opportunity. So again, if somebody wants to talk to you, get in your car, don't roll your window down, just talk to somebody through your window and see what's going on, and then you can kind of play it out to see if you feel safe or what the issue is. Again, don't make yourself a willing victim, so to speak. Again, not saying everything bad is going to happen to you, but it's just having that awareness that something could happen, so that it's in there. Another very common one, as far as talking about breaking into cars, put your valuables out of sight, out of mind. We recommend putting them in the trunk. It's holiday season. People are going to start buying gifts. If you're going to go from one store to the next, put them in the trunk before you get to the next store. A lot of people will pull up somewhere and they'll sit in a parking lot, and you can watch them unload a bunch of stuff in their back seat and then put it in the trunk. And it goes back to what I said about that crime triangle, about the desire and the skill and the ability to do it. If somebody does not know that there's anything valuable in your trunk or your car and it's locked, they're not going to waste their time trying to get into it. But if they know, or they can see that there's a purse and phone or a bunch of really cool brand new things in here, then they know, okay, it's up the ante. They know that it's risky, that I have to break the window or Jimmy lock the door, but I can see what's in there. I'm not going to waste my time forcing entry into a car if I have no idea what's in there. But if I know that there's something good in there, then it's worth my time to actually try to get into it. So locking doors and keeping things out of visible sight will cut that down so much. So again, most of the time, force is not used. Every once in a while, we'll get a few of big gangs that come across the country, and they'll hit like a lot of our Anytime Fitness, Ames Racket Clubs. They kind of they cruise the interstates and they hit fitness clubs where they'll bust out a bunch of windows. But those are more rare for the amount of car burglars that we have on a regular basis. It's typically doors are unlocked and people just hopping in, taking change and getting what they can in the moment, and then they take off. And so a lot of that all carries over to home safety. Again, I say a lot of the same things over and over. It's just kind of like growing up always. You hear the same things over and over, but we just forget. Big one, get to know your neighbors. It's tough in this society. Again, like I said, everyone's on a go. Everyone's stuck, and you see people walking down the streets. They're always on their phone. People don't really say hi as much walking down the road. You can wave at somebody. They don't wave back. Drives me nuts. I don't get it. But know your neighbors. That's the best way to be as safe as you can. Know everybody in your neighborhood. Have somebody maybe you trust in the neighborhood that if you were gone for a couple of days, they'd look over your house, or maybe might even know where a key is to your house. It seemed like that was a big thing growing up, and I haven't been around that long, but in my time of being here, that's completely changed. That's very rare now that we come across people that trust somebody in their neighborhood to have a key or look over their house. Again, that'll cut down because you're going to know kind of the traffic of who's coming, who's going. You're going to know the cars. Again, not to say that a random car shows up in your neighborhood that, one, it's not illegal, and two, there's anything going on, but it's good to be aware in case something does happen. Always keep your doors locked, windows locked. I follow this as well. Like I said, my car's locked in the garage, and even when I'm inside my house, my doors are locked. Again, just cuts down on any opportunity. We see tons of, with a lot of the students or people that live in apartment buildings, we get a lot of burglaries that people walk during the broad daylight. They'll just go right, this time of the day, they'll go right down the hall. They'll walk into somebody's apartment, and if there's nobody right there in like a living area, they grab what they can and they walk out. It's no different than hopping in a car door that's unlocked, they can go. A lot of times they'll walk in and somebody was sitting on the couch and they'll say, hey, this isn't Jimmy's place, is it? And they'll be like, no. Then they go, oh, sorry. And they walk right back out. And nobody thinks twice to call us until we go start knocking on the door and be like, hey, we had 5 burglaries in here. Did you see anything suspicious? Oh, yeah, well, actually, some guy just walked into my apartment an hour ago. It's good to know. Ironically, we get more people calling police with stuff that they probably shouldn't be calling, but yet when there's stuff that people see that they really should call, they don't call, or they'll call us like an hour later and be like, well, I saw about an hour ago down at the Isaac Newton Come and Go, this guy was pushing a little kid in the back of a car and he was screaming, just threw him in, yelled at him, hit him, and then he took off. I thought maybe I should call it now. Like, that'd be a good instance where you should call right away. But unfortunately, with this day and age, more people will call in and things that they really shouldn't be on versus do it. But again, in and out, just call us to see what you got going on. We can always try and help out. Landscaping is really big. It's a broken window theory, if you've ever heard of that. So if you were used to that, you drive around to different communities. Thankfully, Ames is pretty nice and pretty clean. You drive to other communities and you drive through a neighborhood. You got trees way overgrown. The yard's got 3-foot weeds in there. Windows are broken. There's graffiti in a bunch of houses. That influences crime in that neighborhood because that tells you that nobody really cares about that neighborhood or that house or that section. So that just is an influx for criminal activity because obviously you see that nobody takes care of it, so nobody's going to care. Whereas if you come through a neighborhood, the grass is trimmed, the trees look nice, you have good landscaping, it's not overgrown, the house looks nice, there's not spray paint and broken windows, broken fences all over, you're going to think twice. You're going to be like, oh, people take care of stuff. People notice stuff here. So that goes a long ways as far as that goes. We have quite a few burglaries to garages while you're out working in the yard. So you're out in the garden planting some tomatoes and stuff, and you're working. You keep the garage open because you don't want to keep going in and out. But your garage door opens to the road, and your garden's in the backyard. Again, I'm walking down the sidewalk. Oh, hey, look at all those cool tools, or you got something really cool in your garage. There's nobody around. It takes me a minute to walk from the sidewalk into your garage. I can grab whatever I want, and I can start walking back down here, and here you come in from the garden, taking your gloves off, get a drink of water, and then you're like, oh, shoot, where'd my tools go? Where's my power saw? Where's all this gone? Literally, it just takes seconds to walk in an open garage and grab it. Seems foolish. You want to be out working in your yard, and it's nice just to come and go. But again, it's something just to be aware of that it does happen, and it can happen. Another good indicator, stop the mail if you're leaving somewhere. Don't tell somebody that you're not home if your mail starts piling up outside. And hide valuables in a non-conspicuous location. So in the instance that somebody does break into you, typically people like to hide their safes or their valuable jewelry and things in your bedroom, the most common places to look. So if somebody does get into your house, it's relatively easy usually to find where the good stuff is at. So think about that if you have a safe or special, coin collection or jewelry from your grandparents or grandmas or however, if you're going to hide it somewhere, don't put it in the most obvious place that everybody puts it, which is usually like our master bedroom. Think outside the box a little bit, inside your house. Put it somewhere that's, I'm going to come looking for it. If it's in a bathroom closet wall behind the closet, something outside of just your everyday location that 90% of Americans put their stuff. Put it somewhere where you try to hide it. So that's just something very easy to think about as well. Questions, comments? Has anybody fallen? I always ask this. Has anybody in here fallen for a scam that they are willing to raise their hand? You don't even have the details.
Not a big one.
1 second. Let me get
she's
that
got
on the microphone. Who is speaking? Oh, I'm on my way.
I mean, it's kind of a little scam. I've discovered the ads on Facebook, those companies, do a review on them before you buy, especially those sites, and you'll see the negative stuff, and they all say the same. You'll get the product, it'll be too small or not the right thing. Then you try contacting them. I mean, you can do the usual things, call your credit card company, but I'm discovering any of those things that are popping up now are scams on your Facebook, those selling shoes or, coats, clothing. And I look them up. I go customer reviews, and there they are, all the things that have happened. Yeah, because I'll call that phone number from my credit card and leave the, message, get a hold of me, you sent something too small or whatever. And then one place I sent, and I really needed those bras for surgery. Well, they sent me like training bras. And I mean, just like they threw it in there. But the thing is that now that company took them back, but then they charged me a restocking fee, which that's money you lose. So I decided I'm just sticking with the stores because of that. And the shoes, I've still got those sandals sitting in my, I'm going to work on that again. But yeah, I've tried calling the company. You just leave your phone on. They never get back with you. Then looking it up, That's typical of a few other companies out there. They'll send you your items that are always too small or something that don't work right. But I just wanted to say the ones on Facebook, to me, are the crookedest ones.
I know of somebody who they were fed up with their cable getting expensive. And lo and behold, they got an email from that company said, hey, we have a special deal for you. And it appeared like it was the company. So when they called and talked to them and they said, well, yeah, we're running the special promotion. All you have to do is pay us with eBay gift cards.
Yeah.
And they purchased them, but then they had this aha moment, like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. Unfortunately, you can't return eBay gift cards, but they didn't at least give it the information to the other people. But yeah, and they showed it to me. It looked very legitimate, but yeah.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. Just in general, if you're buying something or you get phone numbers or random email people are contacting you, it's very easy to put that number, that email address. If you just put that into like a Google search and hit enter, I bet you'll get a bunch of things that'll pop up and say, scammers, don't do this. Or it'll be like the Better Bureau Business website will pop up where it's got a whole bunch of complaints. So again, that's kind of like I said, if you get a random phone call, take a little time to hang up and do a little bit of investigation. Same deal if you're getting emails or letters. You go look it up on your own terms because, again, scammers always start by initiating contact with you if they're trying to follow through with a scam. So that's good. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just have a question about the gift. Somebody gets your credit card numbers, and I've heard that they'll go to Walmart and buy like $10,000 worth of gift cards. Shouldn't there be some, I don't know, a law or something that says you can only buy so many gift cards? Like maybe $500 worth? How many gift cards do people need? How many grandchildren does anybody have?
Well, I would love to be your grandchild if you're giving out $10,000.
Right.
Again, but then, you set limits in place, and somebody that has a legitimate wants to give somebody a giant amount, and then you can't do it, so then you're mad. We try to educate, and we'll put flyers up with a lot of the companies, the stores in town, and just say, hey, this is very common. So if someone is coming in asking for gift cards or doing money transfers and they're on the phone, so we do, a lot of stores do a pretty good job of that. They'll call us and say, hey, we've got a lady in here. She's trying to buy $10,000 worth of gift cards. We tried telling her it's a scam. She doesn't believe us. Can you just come in here and do that? So a lot of times the stores will catch a lot of them for us, and they'll call us with somebody that's in the act of doing that. So it's good that they know.
Cindy, I'll get down there. We have questions back here.
My, how times have changed. When I was a kid, we never locked our door. We never locked our cars, nothing. I grew up in a town of about 7,000 people and no problems. Today, everybody in that town locks up, like you say. Anyway, I was just a few days ago, we buy a lot of stuff from Amazon, like a lot of people do. And I got this call and said, we're from Amazon and noticed you just charged $1,000 to your account. And if this is not true, dial 1. Well, baloney. I knew I hadn't done it, and so I just hung up. And then, of course, I went to my account then to make sure, no, there wasn't $1,000 charged. So it was just another scam, but Amazon is very common.
Yeah, that's another very common one you'll get is people will get a text message from Amazon, FedEx, UPS, and it'll say your package, or there was an issue with your package, or click this link because something with your package didn't get delivered through a text message. Again, you were smart enough. You would know that you can go online if you're expecting a package. You could probably have the tracking number from when you bought it or ordered it. So you yourself, again, it goes back the same to you. Don't follow the link that somebody sends you. If it's from Amazon, like you said, go to your Amazon account or go to Amazon.com, figure out your stuff. If they say they're from UPS or FedEx, one of those things, and you get a random message, you yourself go to the website. Don't ever click on those links that people send you. That's how they get you, is whatever they're looking for. Again, they might be just looking for spyware, or you click on it, it looks legitimate, and they want you to put your information in. But again, it goes back to somebody contacts you, which is the first thing I said, and that's very common as well, like I said with the Amazon one. So good.
I always look over my credit card bills because several times people have, tried to buy things, and the credit card companies are pretty good at picking it up. I even had one, they tried to transfer $20,000 of debt into my credit card. And I mean, I know you can move, that around, but the companies catch that. They each have fraud departments, and so they're pretty good. But I still look it over item by item when I get that bill.
Yeah, no, it's definitely helpful when they're on your side. And other types of scams too that do pop up a lot is somebody will say you're trying to sell something online, somebody buys it, and then they'll send you a check, and it's for more money than what you were asking to sell something. Let's say you're selling a car, whatever the case is, you're selling a car for $10,000. They might send you a check for $12,000 and say, hey, can you just hold on to this for an extra day, or they need you to do something with it, just cash the check, and then you can keep $1,000, and then you just send me $1,000 back. Well, you're like, well, heck yeah, they're going to buy the car, and they're giving me an extra $1,000. All I got to do is cash this check, send it over to them. Somehow, to me, I don't understand how this works. Is a lot of times people will even go to the bank, put the check in the bank, pull money out, and then they send the money, and then like later that day, the next day, the bank calls, hey, that check it was fake. And now you're out. I mean, that's worse yet. Then you just hope you have really good banking system that's got some kind of security. But again, that's kind of like getting rid of cash, where it's kind of nice if you do have their credit card, they're easier to work with. They can just kind of wash a bunch of that stuff off versus if it's coming off your debit card, where the bank's going to actually be a little more liable for that. So again, same idea. If it's too good to be true, there's so many of those we get with the kids that people are subleasing their apartments, and they'll send them way more money than what it's worth, and they'll say, I'm going to have some boxes come into the house or something, so keep a little bit of that money and send me some just for the hassle of you trying to help me. Again, it's just, these should be red flags. It's too good to be true. So that, again, it's just, you get stuck because you're excited. You're like, oh yes, I sold something, and they're even going to give me extra. What the heck? This is great. Sure, I'll send them back a little bit. All I got to do is cash a check and send them back. I've got a check. You can go to the bank, or sometimes they just, throw it in the ATM and then pull the money out, or they put it in the check. But again, it just takes a second to think some things through. You think you have a really good deal, tell somebody about it. And then it's just that way they can be like, wait a minute, Susie, that doesn't make any sense. And then you can think it through. So, yes.
Recently, I was talking to someone who manages a Dollar General. I shop at Dollar General a lot. I like Dollar General. But he was talking to me a lot about how he'd work for Dollar General, Dollar Tree, and how much counterfeit monies go through there. Do you get involved with that, or it's just those companies, the managers follow along on that?
Yeah. So as far as counterfeit money goes, I would say it's not just Dollar Generals. We get them at all sorts of different stores. Get them. They show up in ATMs. I'd say it's very common this day and age that people are making their own money and trying to pass through. And it kind of depends on how they're presenting it, what the money looks like. A lot of times people are even handing money to clerks, and it might even say on there, this is play money or something, just so that they can get away with like a fraud. Just so if they get caught, just the penalty would be not as bad. But again, yes, there's lots of counterfeit money out there, and that's kind of on people that are taking money. There's different markers, there's different security features that you can try to get. Some are a lot better that will bypass some of those. Some won't make all the tests. But again, it's kind of like fake IDs this day and age. College kids, that is the thing. Everybody wants to buy these fake IDs online. You can spend anywhere from $80 to $300 on an ID to make it look as good as you can. But again, they're not going to be perfect if you take the time to look them through.
I was wondering about, now we've been getting hit quite a bit with this, and none of us were in service at our house. Those Camp Lejeune, how are they getting we never were in service, never done anything service. Then they'll say they're going to send us such X amount of money, which of course I don't, they say this is what I'm getting, but the amount changes. Now, what if somebody were to act upon that? What are they going for? What are they doing?
It just depends on what kind of information they're asking for. So again, they might be trying to get it where in the end they're going to get a donation from you, or you're going to give them all of your information thinking that you're going to get something, and then they might try and open a credit card. We've even had a few cases in the years in West Ames where we caught a couple where they had several credit cards with them. They're kind of all faded and stuff that they had picked up their old credit cards, but they had a little machine that they could put it down on, and it had like an imprinter on it. So they would like put this in just an old school machine, and it would imprint like new numbers. And you can buy a list of numbers from kind of like the black market, black web stuff where people will steal people's information, and then they sell it to like a website. So I can have a whole list of your name, your address, your credit card numbers, all your information. I can buy all that, and then they can literally just get like you could even pick up a gift card, and they can put like electronic scanning strips right on there, and then they can implant those numbers with a little machine. A very old school technique, but it works. And a lot of times the card won't swipe because that electronic thing is not like a real one. So then the cashier or whoever it is, they just type in the numbers and it's going to work because they have it linked to that. So that's a very common one with people getting information. You might not see it right away. They might just hold on to it for a while. So people that think they've been a part of a scam, it's always good just to check your credit or so once a year to make sure that you don't have 3 credit cards that got opened up in the last year and they're destroying your credit. Same way with, shoot, now I forgot what I was going to say. Next question, it'll come back to me.
Okay, we got a letter in the mail. It was addressed to me. It was from Canada. And when we opened it up and read it, it was this fellow that was contacting me saying that he is trying to find relatives of this person that has died and has money in the bank account in Canada and da-da-da-da. And then, says, just if you say that you are a relative, I will come up with all the information or whatever. And then later on, you and I can discuss, how we're going to divide the money or whatever. So, okay, first of all, it wouldn't be a relative of mine because it's my married name. It's like, but my question is, you were referring before to a lot of people call for things that really aren't important or whatever, to report or whatever. So I guess my question is, what would be something that, you would, because I got it and I'm like, well, okay, it's a scam. Should I tell somebody about it, or would it be the post office or, whatever? I guess I'm not quite sure what you report.
Yeah, so in those, we've got kind of some new stuff where if there's a scam involved, but no money is gone, we document it one way just to kind of put it in there, and I think they might turn that into the state Attorney General's office, I think is kind of what they do with that. I'm not on that side of that situation, but again, it doesn't hurt just a quick phone call and say, hey, here's what's going on, we can get the information. As long as you're not out any information, it's easy for us to just document something like that just to see if that's going to pop up, and all of a sudden now we're getting 50, 60 of them, and then we can alert the community of, hey, there's been an influx of this letter, just to kind of get it out on social media so people can see it and are aware. Would be a good one. So again, it doesn't hurt us to call. We can always, like I said, dispatch will talk to you, and something we can help you with. If great, we'll come help you. And if it's something that's not something the police officer needs to handle, then they'll tell you. But yeah, it's good for us to at least know. Just like I said, every once in a while you get big influxes of them, and it's good to alert the community of this is the new scam that's going around. If something different that catches you off guard. So she's coming with the radar. She got one up here.
Oh, yeah. This might be a dumb question, but it's about letting somebody have access to your computer. I have a Mac, and occasionally I have to call AppleCare and to get it fixed, and they want to do screen share. And that seems like it'd be okay, but, it still makes me a little uncomfortable.
I agree. And but the first thing, like you said, they didn't contact you asking to take control, right? You called them.
Right.
So that's probably why you're okay. But I agree. I had to do that with my phone a few years back, and it scared the crap out of me because I had to do this screen share while I was walking down the road because the cameras broke. I was like, God, I'm doomed forever. But here I am, made it 4 years later. Thank God.
Okay, as I'm walking down to another question, online somebody made a statement that if somebody calls you and they're going, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh,
they want you to say yes. Tell us about that.
That's another common one. People think that if they get you to say yes, that they can record that, so that way they can go in and open an account or do something, and it'll be your voice, and they're saying yes. That'd be very easy to dispute. People have it. I have not seen the ramifications of it. I don't think I've ever taken a report from somebody that said, hey, I had a fraudulent thing open up. I called the credit card company, and they said, yeah, we have a recording of you saying yes. I've never heard the back end of it. I get the idea of what they're trying to do. That to me just seems like the foolish way that you would couldn't dispute that very easily as far as with just a recording that would say yes.
Right.
But that's what they're essentially trying to do with that.
Now, here's something. This is the first time we've gotten a recall on one of our vehicles. Okay, for the airbag. So my husband took it to a couple places, and they said, yeah, we can replace the airbag for $500, 2 places. So then I called General Motors, and they go, and I left them a detailed message. I talked to a real person and everything. They never got back with me. Then I called the Federal Trade Commission. They never got back with me. I mean, they filled papers out. I haven't heard nothing. But then on the news, it says there were like 6 cars up there. They said nobody's gotten their, everybody who has recalls need to get them done. Well, how are you going to do a recall if you're thinking you're going to get it free and they're charging you $500? What's that deal? And nobody else gets back with you.
I don't know what that one. That'd be a new one to me.
Yeah.
That what they're.
And we've had like that before, and it was legitimate, and it said go to the Chevrolet, and we went there, and they did it all for no charge. So that's
Yeah, like I said, I'd be the first that I've ever heard of that where because if I got a recall, I would just go down to George White if it was on my truck and say, hey, this, and then they would tell me. But
They're the ones who want to charge the money. Those 2 cart. There was he even went over to Boone so he'd get out of Ames thinking Ames is crooked. So conspiracy theory. But they said that in Boone too. He says, well, there's a chance we're going to mess something up, so you got to pay for it.
wow.
well, that would be, I guess,
Guess you're driving
something
without an airbag then.
Well, right. Other questions? Tim, do you have any other questions online right now? Nope. Well, you must have answered everything. Any last things that you had, or?
Again, like I said in the beginning part, all scams, someone's going to contact you. They're going to make you feel alarmed, panicked, scared, so they feed on the emotions, and then they're going to ask you to pay in a very unusual method. All right, I know it's 2022, but gift cards, money transfers, that's not really a thing. Gift cards are there for a gift for family or holiday or someone that does chores for you or you want to do a nice gift. That's what gift cards are for. They're not payment cards, they're gift cards. So keep that in mind. So I think you do those and you're fine. Again, stop answering your phone if you don't recognize the phone number. Life will be a lot easier.
Well, thank you so much. Community Resource Officer Kruger. Lots of great information, lots of great questions. So thank you for coming out today.
Have me.
I just want to remind everyone our next program is Wednesday, December 7th at 2 p.m. It's actually the 2 rooms next to here. It's North A and B. It's Reveling in the Present Moment. It's on mindfulness. And there is no virtual option for that one. It is only in person. And then Tuesday, December 13th, after a 3-year break, and we all know why, we will have our holiday gathering this year out at the Gateway, Tuesday, December 13th. That actually starts at 1 p.m. Most of our programs, you don't have to be a member to attend, but those where we have limited seating, you do. So if you want to go to the holiday gathering, you would have to join if you're not a current member, $15, but your membership would go through June 30th of 2024. This time of year, we start extending it a little bit more. So anyways, thank you for coming, everyone. Thank you so much for the presentation.
I will say one last thing. So if you're part of a group or organization or you're having a neighborhood meeting and you want an officer to come out and I can talk about this stuff or somebody else or any other topic that you think would be good for your whatever Kiwanis, Rotary Club, whatever you're part of, a church group, give us a call. We love coming out. We're very involved with the community. We're always getting calls from Boy Scouts to Rotary Clubs to everything in between, church groups, neighborhood associations, parties. We want to be as involved as we are. So give us a call anytime if you want an officer to come out and talk at your group. We'd be happy to do it for you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming out, everyone.